Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the latest, greatest show that the CDL, Challengers, CCL, and everything in between. It's The Storm with your host, OG Susano, and my co-host, Lightningdajoke. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome these guests. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
Doing good, man. How you
Great.
doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know who these people are, I've got the best rundown for you. Below me is my duo, my man, the myth, the legend, one of the handsomest players out there to this
That's
scene
crazy.
with
That's
no
crazy.
hair on his head right now. The man is locked. It is none other than Lightningdajoke. And then below him is my duo caster as well. Double duo action. Two wives in the same place. What can I say? It's JakeC, one of the best and up-and-coming analytical minds within the casting scene. Then below, the man, infamous everywhere. All the talk these days. It is none other than my good friend, TikTok legend himself, Cxnwa.
I knew he was gonna say that.
What is
man, I
up,
had a feeling.
Cxnwa?
How's it going, man? Just throwing me some shade in there too. That's all right.
What do you mean? You're a TikTok legend.
Oh, there's some people got a positive connotation with it.
I
some
love the
people don't.
TikToks.
I like them too, so I
like
keep
'em
rocking with them.
What the heck? Who's hating on the TikToks? You send them to
Dude,
me,
you
and
would
I'll
not
go and
believe,
talk to
bro.
them.
Me,
Dude, I
me,
got
I'm the one hating.
No, he is, bro. I got him and his whole fan club retweeting all my shit, and I'm like, I know they're doing it out of just irony. These fucking assholes. Like, I don't even talk to Austin Cruelty, and this guy retweets everything I post, and I'm like, dude, this guy. I'm like, I know as soon as I post it, it's gonna get retweeted, dude. And I'm like, do I even post it?
Not the Austin Stray, bro. The guy's
Fucking
not even
op,
in the
bro.
scene anymore, bro.
I know. That's why it's crazy. That's
Guy-
crazy.
Guys just got a team speak with just you all over it. It's all good. It's all good. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's an exciting day. We're just finished with Major 4. Some good results, some big records being broken in terms of personal stature, which we'll go over here in a sec. But it's good to have these guys on here. I've been wanting to have a caster on with me as well, someone to call my bull, whenever I say something faded. And of course, who better to call me on my bull than the man himself, Jake. So I'm excited to get this guy in here. Let's get this show running because, ladies and gentlemen, we don't got too much time. No, we do have time. I'm just kidding. Let's start off with a big one, the biggest W that we've seen from this weekend besides the ring or the chip, they say. Scump has broken the most subscribed professional Call of Duty player on Twitch, past or present, and he beat TP at 35K plus subs. Last I saw, he was at like 38. He was, damn. He's up there. He is up there. One of the most prolific minds and personalities in Call of Duty. What do you guys got to say about that? First off, big round. Snap fingers, all that. What do you got to say, Mike?
Honestly, I think it's well deserved. I think he deserves it. And two, I also think it's because of the show, like the talk show that he has now, like all the actual content and passion he's pouring into bringing out stuff for people to watch. I think a lot of people have started to sub mostly because of the Call of Duty show. I truly do. The watch parties get a lot of people watching. I think that's where a lot of his subs come from. But I think he deserves it. Truly, I do.
Jake?
Yeah, the amount. Go
Colin?
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
come on. Say it, bro.
I didn't realize you were going. Okay, I got it now.
It's all good.
Yeah, no, I think he deserves it. I love watching Scump. Scump's who got me into the scene. When I'm 12 and a half years old. Watching him play League play, watching him play with Nate Shot, and when he retired, I'm like, dude, what? I hope he just doesn't leave the scene. You know what I mean? Like he's he's one of the sole reasons why it's as successful as it is. And I think the scene's actually grown even more since he's retired somehow. And I think his watch parties and his podcast and all of that has just done a really good thing, and it's put even more eyes on Optic. Like I was never an Optic fanboy, and with the combination of the talk shows and Dan being on the team, like I'm fangirling over here, so I love it. I'm happy for him.
I mean, I feel like it was only a matter of time, no? Because it's like Scump has just always been that guy in COD. Everybody knew it from start to finish. And I mean, he was pulling like 20K subs in Bops 4 when like he was just scrimming. Like he was just scrimming, having a good time, and he's pulling like 20K subs. So he actually retires, starts out with some like very solid content in the watch party. He's got some great people around him for the content. And I mean, it's just popping off. So we saw Tarek do the same thing in Val. We see Scump do it now. And I mean, they're almost on the same level now. I mean, Tarek and Scump, like, I mean, Scump had a lot of viewers during these majors. Like, that is no doubt. So, I mean, it's only right, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, the guy, we have to give a massive applause to the guy because literally, like Colin said, he could have easily just dipped out of the scene, been like, you know what, Call of Duty, see you later. I'm going to Valorant. I'm going to Fortnite. I'm going wherever. But he stayed. He got himself into it. He's here, and it's really good. I'm really happy. I love the watch parties. Whenever Optics playing, I'm definitely watching him. If another random team, if it's a mid-off type of a game, I'm watching the flank. I'm trying to. I've still got him tabbed, but I'm just trying to spread the love. You got to spread the love because a W for this scene is a W all around. So big dubs, big shout outs. There's a saying when the Lord is blessing your neighbors, be thankful because he's in the neighborhood. He's in the neighborhood. So that means good things are around us, boys. Good things are around us. Next, moving on. Atlanta FaZe are the definition of consistent. Since the inception of the CDL, Atlanta FaZe have only placed out of the top 3 on 2 occasions. Cold War Major 5, I remember that. They got slammed. They got beat by Nikki D. Then the Vanguard Pro-Am Classic, I think it was NYSL who beat them. I can't remember.
I think so.
But NYSL even went on to win that event as well. So, that's got to be gas. That's gas. That is gas. Since the beginning, man. What do you got to say about that, Jake? Since the beginning, bro.
I mean, it's great. Obviously, it's fantastic, and we saw how their Vanguard went. Probably not the ideal situation to play second every single tournament, almost.
Yeah.
They are able to pass that hump here in MW2, but I gotta think that this only like improves their motivation because they just have not been able to consistently be that #1 team that they've always been in Cold War. And I mean, that's so long ago now to even say that. But like, you got to think they're still really pushing for the top. And, they're always that one team in the league that you're worried about playing.
Yeah, 100%. Colin, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, when they have that much talent on their team, they can get away with so much. I mean, Simp, Abizi, and Celium alone. I mean, Slasher's great, but those 3 guys alone are 3 of the most talented players we've ever seen. So when you just throw them all on the same roster and they have the chemistry that they do from teaming this long, it's going to be really hard for them not to be as consistent as they are. Like, they're playing pretty bad COD right now. I won't even lie. Like, they get away with a lot, but because of how talented they are, they just keep winning. So that's the recipe. I mean, you can hope that you can have a team with as much talent as they do.
Mike?
I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think Simp is probably one of the best players of all time. I think even before he turned 18, that guy was winning everything. He turned 18, still was winning everything. Was pro, still winning everything. I think his like average champs placement is like 1.5 or 2 or something like that. Like second, I think. Brother, that's crazy. I don't know. These guys just know how to win, and I don't think you should ever count them out ever. Even when I see them like down by a lot, I still think they have a chance of winning. And I think it's so crazy to say that when they're not doing good or they're not playing bad COD and they're still placing really, really well, like top 3, like consistently, and that's them not doing that great, is crazy to me to say.
I mean, literally, Atlanta FaZe have always been seen as the final boss type of players. You got to get through them to get through to some major gains. I mean, when LA Thieves absolutely slammed them, it was a crazy showing because then we were like, okay, clearly Thieves are ready. They're ready to take this. They are here, and they go on to win. And so let's talk about the next topic here. the matches, because man, it was something. I gotta be honest here. Look, there's not any audience, but there was so many great moments that we know that if there was an audience behind it, we would have had some top 10 discussion moments. I mean, literally, we go in, we start off day one, LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rocker. I can't disrespect, but I had LA Thieves 3-0. And they gave me a 3-1, so it wasn't that bad. But I mean, the one that pissed me off the most, and I'm sure you guys can agree, Vegas Legion getting 3-0'd by NYSL. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts there?
I mean, they just need to not get shit on. I don't know. I don't know.
That was just such an uncompetitive series. Like, it wasn't even fun to watch. It's like everybody was excited to, like, oh my God, Vegas is in winners for the first time. And they come out and get absolutely body bagged. I don't think they won a round in the round-based game modes. Like, the hardpoint wasn't close. It was just not fun to watch by any means. They were just so segmented. And now I worry for Vegas for the future. Like, we really thought, yeah, I mean, you're not winning a round in the rounds. Like, Mercado kind of close, but it just wasn't it over there.
You could have thrown any top 10 challengers team in for them this weekend, and they would have outperformed them in every game mode. I mean, it was embarrassing. I don't know what was going on because they were looking great online. Like, I don't know. Like, Temp got fucking waxed in the first series, and then they looked like a Make-A-Wish roster in the second one. So, like, I don't know what to make of it because they looked good online, but even TJ's frying and they're losing. Like, that's crazy to me because that guy has been hog shit for 4 straight years.
I gotta agree. That guy's been shit for a while.
But like, he's literally piecing, and they're losing like this. I don't know what's going on because he's got some shooters around him. That's wild. So, embarrassing showing out of them.
Temp didn't even get a kill in the S&D.
Nah, dude, you could have thrown my mom in there. She would have been better. He had like a 0.3.
Dude, I know Prize Picks was definitely taking Temp off the board, bro. People were slamming the unders on him, bro.
The good thing is you'll be able to get him for like $2 in fantasy for the next major. So I'll throw him on mine in hopes that he drops like a 0.8 this time. So.
Wait, I actually have a question for you guys. Do you think their performance at this major was due in part to the loudness EQ cheese that we have online? Is that maybe a part of the reason why they got slammed so bad?
I can't lie.
Yeah.
I'm not counting it out. It definitely is. It's a possibility.
It's a big part.
It's a big part of online to LAN. I mean, like, my team plays way better on LAN than they do online. Part of that's internet, but like, it's a totally different game. I mean, like, with no sound EQ, but also it's so much louder in a LAN setting that you don't even need to run Deddy most of the time. Like, your trophy players can hit routes on LAN, whereas like, I feel bad for Chaco. Chaco's been running a trophy for me all year and has not been able to hit a single route online. It's just impossible because you can hear when you're back P3 on Fortress, you can hear people hitting top single in art. It's impossible. So it's a different game for sure. And I mean, if I'm a bottom 4 team in the league, I'm definitely throwing out sound EQ.
Especially a team that's so close to qualifying for champs, like cinching it. You're doing everything you can, man. And I don't deny because they allow now sound EQ for online matches, but like it comes to a point where you're playing basketball in a league where, you know, everybody else is on like super sensitive hearing, and then you come onto LAN and you just flat out don't have no ears, you know? Like, to not even find 1 kill in 6 rounds of S&D, like, that's not even FaZe they're going up against. They're going up against NYSL. And, you know, not to take away from NYSL's top 4 placement, but still, like, NYSL. Like,
yeah, they looked good, but they didn't, you know, these are the top 12 teams in the entire world. You're telling me that they got absolutely shit smoked like that? Like, that's embarrassing. So I don't even think they need to make a change. I don't know. It just looks weird.
It does look weird. It looks very indicative of where they're going to be going in terms of like the rest of the year. Because like even if, and hear me out, if they qualify for champs, they're not sniffing out a winners round 2. They keep playing like that. I'm going to Caesar's Palace, and I'm going and I'm betting the mortgage on.
Bet your mortgage.
I'm betting the mortgage on their downfall. Like, if they keep
If
playing
it-
like that.
If this team wants any success, they need the ARs to turn up. Like TJ, you kind of know what you're gonna get out of TJ, and if you get what you got this weekend, great. And it's like Standy. Standy's an interesting player. Like, I don't know. I played him at the major, like at Texas, when he was in Challengers, and he was good, obviously, but he just wasn't as good as he was online. I played him in the next cup, and he went like triple positive on us. But like on LAN, I felt like Flames was on his team. Flames and Cryptic, and Wardy were his teammates, and I felt like all three of them were playing like a lot better than he was. So I don't know. I don't know if there's something with LAN that's different about him because he's a great player. Nobody's doubting that, but there's definitely a fall off between online and LAN.
Continue, Mike. Continue. I got a question.
I
After
was gonna
this.
say, then again, he's playing against Cxnwa. Like, he's gonna get nervous on LAN. I'm sorry. Like, I would get nervous on LAN too.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he saw me take the EUs out back for the third time in a row, so he's gonna be pissing down his leg. I get it.
It's either Hydra or Cxnwa, and he had to leave the league. He had to leave the challengers to go.
He didn't want to
play.
get TikToked on, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. It's just you got to have that mental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to see a Cxnwa 3-0 slam to him doing the say so dance right on top of them.
That's crazy.
Please.
That's crazy to say. That's crazy.
Okay. Look, this is the question I was going to state. So I've had this conversation with a lot of people, a lot of the times with players who come from challengers that move into the CDL. Some have very good success, like Dan right off the bat, because they implement themselves into those systems. They implement themselves into the rudimentary training process. They implement them into the mentality. Now, here's the thing. When Standy came out of challengers from Major 3 Texas Open, he was looking pretty good. He was looking good. But the thing is that it reiterated so many times from the top to the bottom. The games are not the same. You are not going to be playing the same way you're going to be playing against Wiz and Dak than the way you're going to be playing against, even Brackenfellow. You're not going to be playing the same against them. And to see squads like a big example was like Jimbo when he hopped onto Vanguard in Paris Legion. The guy was playing it like he was playing what's it called? Challengers. And then we hop into this year and we got Standy looking really good in the challenger scene, right? Then he comes back and what does he do? That. Is there a problem with the facilitation process, or do you think it's on management or the teammates?
I think it's on the teammates. I'm gonna keep it a buck because teams that pick up new players, like let's say Optic, let's say Vegas, we can say London, a couple of those teams have already had success with these new players. Like I think Vegas has done better with Standy. I think Optic has done better. I think Boston has played a little bit better, but I think they're adding something good to something that's already decent. If you're adding something completely different, like already something decent to something shitty, it's not going to work. Like I think Standy made Vegas a little bit better, but they're still not going to do anything. I think Yuli's a good player, but him on London's not going to do shit. If anything, I feel like it's hurting him. They're not great. Like the base is just not good. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't think it's necessarily the new player's fault. I don't think it's management. I don't think it's their mindset. I straight up just think it's the team was already not good when they came in. And one player is not going to make that much of a big difference unless the base is already amazing. You know what I mean? That's just what I think. That's how I see it. Especially as a challengers player joining a new team. Like if you join a team of 3 and you're filling in, I can definitely see where you have to conform your gameplay to what they're used to. But if they already sucked and then you join, chances are it's not going to go great anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, before anyone says anything about that, I want to continue right there because we saw this come out of Scraps on Twitter. I definitely know y'all saw it. This is what Scraps said. He says, haven't been a team whatsoever for weeks on end. Been fighting the biggest uphill battles for months versus each other. Not listening or respecting each other. No accountability. Just pointing fingers and spawning in trying to do it all. It's on all of us as players, not our coach or manager. They've been trying and trying, but we just don't want to be professionals and listen and spawning together. No more escaping that. And we were just talking about it earlier. You know, they expected Yuli to come in here and be their savior when the team culture's horrendous.
Yeah, Yuli's not saving that. Like a person is not saving that.
Yeah, and it's this. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Like I think part of it's management. I think part of it's teammates, and I think part of it is the player that comes into the comes into the team. A good example of that is Dan going into Optic. The way that they have Dan playing on Optic is not how Dan normally plays. I was sitting there behind Dan at the Boston Open on his team, and Fellow was playing more so the role that Dan plays now in Optic. Dan was that guy that was, dropping the 1.5 KD. He was doing the dashy, just laying down damage, just doing his thing. And it's like now he's had to come into this team. So he's not necessarily comfortable doing that, but he knows what he has to do to win, and he knows what his teammates do, and they're on the same page. It's all about getting on the same page. And he's like, okay, well, I got 3 of the most talented players that have ever played in the entire world on this team. All I got to do is be a walking UAV and pick up the shit they don't want to pick up. And he's doing that, and he's doing that better than almost anyone has ever. So it's like that's all you got to do is you got to figure out what that team needs, and the other team and your other teammates need to know what they need, and the management needs to know what you need. Like for example, on London, they got 2 flexes running the ARs who've never played together, and Scraps and Nasty. They got a challengers player who's like just a really talented sub, but not necessarily like a system sub, and Yuli. And then they got Asum, who's like a talented player, but he's one extremely inconsistent, and 2 never played with any of these players before. And they're like, hey, let's just throw them all in a pot, stir it up, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna work, especially at the top level. I mean, this would be a bad. I guarantee this is a dog shit challengers team too. Like you throw them in.
Yeah, there's a dog shit challenge
Oh,
team for
sure.
sure.
I see Rocker Academy beating them. I see Doug's team beating them. I see Mohawk's team beating them. I see Thresh's team beating them because their 2-3-5 is shit. It's like these are 4 talented players. Don't get me wrong. I think all 4 of these guys are good enough to be in the league, but this roster makeup is terrible. I'd be pissed if I was these guys too. It's like if you want this team to work, you need to have the right pieces. It's putting together the pieces of a puzzle, and this is just 4 separate pieces not on the same page that
Yeah.
don't even complete the right puzzle. So it doesn't make any sense to me. So this team should have been blown up a long time ago. They're fucking
Spitting.
hogwash.
Spitting bars.
I
for
mean,
sure.
you just
Straight up
you
bars.
just can't expect a challengers player to come into your team and like solve all your problems. Especially a player like Yuli, where it's like we know Yuli's like a good player, but he's not like that young 18 and cracked like frying everybody in challengers. Like he's a great player, and like you add that to a core
And he's a
that
great
maybe
teammate.
yeah, exactly, that maybe makes sense. And maybe he could be a solid player on a good team, but I don't think the SMG duo works by any means. Obviously, there's internal misfortune with this squad. So I don't think anybody could have came into this team and really improved it. And it's obviously tough for Yuli because you want to take a spot in the league. You want to be that player that maybe makes a difference, but it's so hard to make a difference on a team that's like this. I mean, unless you're just Pope and you're frying everybody, but I think even so, like it would have been so hard to do so. So, I mean, I think it's a good learning experience for the rest of the league where it's like you kind of gotta clean house a little bit before you can add something new to it.
The last thing I want to say about that too is players a lot of the time when they come into a new team, those first couple days, there's a lot of pressure, especially if it's a team of 3 and they're joining it. There's a lot of pressure to perform. So they go above and beyond to be the best player that they can be.
Yeah.
So it looks great for the first couple days. And then once they've secured their spot and they're safe on that team, a lot of players become complacent. And I'm not going to say that Standy's doing that, but looking at his track record, first team he came into was Cold War on Rocker. When he first came into Rocker, they fried the first event that he was there. He looked like a superstar. He's dropping a 1.6. It's awesome. And then they fall off. Now he comes into Vegas. I mean, even at the beginning of this year in Toronto, he's frying at the beginning of this year, and then he falls off. And then he comes into Vegas in the online qualifiers, and he's one of the best subs in the league. He's like arguably top 5 in every category. And then he's been on it for a little bit. Now I don't know if it's land or if he's become complacent or what, but he's fallen off a little bit. So I don't know. It's some players do that when they know their spot's secure, they take a step back, and that's just not what a team needs. If you want it and you want to be winning championships, even at a challengers level, you need to be firing in all cylinders every single day.
Agreed. Because like we were talking about earlier, if you're not switching that mentality and not getting into the right gear, and the squad's not getting to the right gear, it's just not going to work out. It's like trying to put a duck with no legs to go and swim, man. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working. You know, it's like seeing your mother-in-law in a Cadillac go down a hill. You know, you got mixed feelings. But other than that, I mean, the rest of the matches, we kind of expected that. Optic 3-1 Breach, FaZe 3-1 Surge. That one was crazy. Surge might need to blow it up soon. Florida 3-2ing Vegas in the losers. I mean, goodness gracious. Like,
it couldn't have been gift wrapped better for him, for the Mutineers.
Goodness gracious, dude. LAG came out, showed up, got that participation trophy, and then immediately went home against Surge. London Royal Ravens, no doubt, got 3-0'd by Rocker. Then we saw that tweet come out. Toronto Ultra 3-1 Boston, expected. Friday, it got really crazy. Friday got crazy, bro. Minnesota 3-2 Seattle Surge, send them home. Crazy right there. Florida get 3-0'd once again. Showed up, got the participation trophy. Toronto put them in a bag. Atlanta FaZe get 1-3'd by LAT. Now, that one was wild. Subliners get 3-0'd by Optic. I expected that. I had people, look, let me just say something. I had people chirping at me on Twitter because I said LAT, Optic, winners final, gonna happen. People say, Vegas is beating Optic. You know who you are, Surge. You know who you are. And then they got out. Pack watch. We smoking that on 420. Too easy, man. Too easy. Then immediately, Subliners 3-1 Rocker. Dang. That boy Ken was putting on for the squad, man.
They shouldn't have lost that one, to be honest. I don't think they should have won the Seattle one either, but I think Rocker should not have lost the Subliners.
That one broke my heart, man. Kev was putting on for the squad, and they just went down. And then LAT 3-1 to Optic Texas. I mean, like, Optic, when they play these other teams, it's their game. It's their game 100%. Me personally, I got mad because what are these map picks to go up against LAT? Like, this is 100%, an LA, sort of map pick. You come out with Hydro, which I was like, dude, LA just looked disgusting on that, And then we go to Fortress, and somehow Optic's not doing anything. I think it was, you got Dan putting on for the squad 4-6, Dashy 7-6. The subs just weren't subbing, on that one. And
I mean, the subs just weren't subbing ever against LAT. I don't know what it was, but LAT just found a way to shut down Shotzi and Huke, and that was their key to victory for this major, and they sure did succeed in it because that map 1 and map 4, the subs were nowhere to be found, and I think that was really what made the difference for them.
I agree.
I can't remember what Hook had. I swear I saw Hook like
he had like a 0.6. Him and Shotzi both had like a really bad series in winners finals.
Yeah, it was not very good. Like right here, 16-27. Like this is us just coming off of that legendary performance he had the other day where he dropped like 70, and then he comes out flat in Mercado 16-27. Look, I get it. You got Pred on the sites of Optic. You don't want to get dropped, But when you're putting like inconsistent performances like that out, it's tough. But then you also, like Jake said, LAT really made it their prognition to just shut down the subs. Shotzi 12-30.
I mean, that might be the worst Shotzi performance of all time. I will not cap.
12-30. Might have to compete with his first appearance in MW19, man. Like, goodness gracious, dude. Somebody in my group the other day was saying that what if they got Shotzi out and put Pred in
No,
there.
bro, don't even
What?
talk about that.
I was
bro.
like, that is low key faded, but I
That's
don't even know
high-key
how that.
faded.
I was like, I don't even know how that would work with Pred and Hook, bro.
That's high-key
I
faded.
think Shotzi stays as the what is it called, the franchise player throughout whatever happens. Shotzi will stay as the franchise player, but also, I mean, he wanted to leave low key at the beginning of this year. You remember? He was like,
Yep.
if Seth leaves, I'm out.
It was just internal stuff. It wasn't really because he wanted to though.
I was like,
I mean, he had a chance to join
Jesus.
FaZe. I mean, that's a tough offer to pass up.
That is a very tough offer to pass up, honestly. But still, not the best performance out of Optic on that one. It broke my heart. And then Subliners really put the nose to the grindstone against FaZe 2-3, going map 5. That one, I was very unexpected. This was for top 4 placement in the S&D. I mean, come on. Like, a Beezy finally was pulling up. Acelium pulled up as well. It was just no chance. Priesta always goes hard against his former teammates. Always. Former organizations, he's going hard. He's going hard.
Priesta was the MVP of the subliners this weekend, in my opinion. He was frying every single match that mattered, every single one.
Yeah. What have we said, Mike? What have we said about Priesta, man? What have we said?
I was literally about to say it again. I think Priesta is one of my favorite players, just because simply I think he's always been so good and he's just never won, and it just makes me feel bad for him. I just want to see him pull through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
He's
get
gotten
that.
second so many times, and he's just never won. And I just want him. It's like an underdog to me. I just want him to win. I just want to see him succeed at least once.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I was really excited for him when they won Major 1. And then after that, there's just steady low placements and lackluster performances. And then, of course, I expected this one 100%. Optic came out, just straight up 3-0 schmeeded on Atlanta FaZe. That is wild. That boy Dan was pulling up map 1, bro. Where's he at? Yeah, dude. No, it wasn't map 1. I can't remember which map it was. I was like, I said map 1, and then he goes 16 and 15. But, minute 9 on Hill. Literally, the guy was slaying in parts where they needed him to slay. And it's like what you said, Cxnwa. He was back to his ways, dude. He was slaying out, putting the nose to the grindstone, putting that power to the P, man.
I mean, I truly think Optic is all about letting each other eat. I think everyone has to do that, but I think Optic is really, really good at that because all of the players we've literally seen all of them go off. They all have the potential to go kill everyone and do everything. It's just a matter of letting each other do it. I think a big part of players is they let their ego get kind of in the way and they start being like, yo, I'm not going to fill in this thing. I'm going to go run at them, go get some kills. Next person off spawn can fill it in. And the next person off spawn is also thinking the same thing. And they're like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go take a different route to go get some more kills. And they all just kind of have like this selfish mindset where they just kind of keep playing for each other, like for themselves, like just for kills over and over again. But whenever all 4 players are really, really good like this and they all take their time, like Dan is like realizing that he's not always in the position to go off. Like his other players are also can have that ability and they also have that ability to do it. So if when he sees his opportunity, he'll go off. You know.
Yeah, I think the one unfortunate thing about Optic, I mean, this is a good problem to have, but it's a bad problem to have too, is that Dan is the most willing and the most capable of doing the bitch work on this team, and it's not a good thing to have a player that is like just has to do that. Like ideally, everyone picks it up,
Yeah, exactly.
but when you have, you know, players like Shotzi who can, excuse me, Dashy, it's none of them have ever been in that role. None of them have ever like it's not that they're not willing to do it. It's just that's not where they naturally fall. So, it is interesting because if you look at the statistics from the matches that they lose, Dan statistically had better performances than most of his teammates in those two in the winners final and grand final. And I don't know if a lot of that's because Dan's trying to get his maybe, but it seems like in order for this team to do well, it seems like Dan almost needs to take a back seat and pick up the shit that no one else is willing to do. Um, because I don't know if that was what exactly it was, but statistically, like Shotzi, Hook, and Dashy did not do great in winners finals or in grands. So I don't know if there's something to that, but usually I think it is that Dan is the most willing that has to do that pitch work. And I don't know if he was necessarily doing it as much as he normally does. Like if you look at if you look at the control against FaZe, in the losers final, Dan, like in the control, like statistically got smoked. Can you scroll down a little bit farther? I can't see it.
Sorry.
Like yeah, he got smoked. He went 15 and 26.
Look at the zones captured.
If you see what he did on the map, he won them almost single-handedly 3 of their rounds. There was an offense where FaZe was about to cap B, and Dan gets a 2-piece to open it up. There was the one offense at the end where Dan single-handedly gets 2 ticks on B control. It's like he's doing the shit that opens up the map for the rest of his teammates, and it doesn't even show up in the statistics.
Yeah,
So
right here it does. 10 zones captured.
Yeah, but that's not what people are generally looking at.
Yeah, true.
They're looking at that point. What is that? A .56, and they're saying, "God damn, Shotzzy needs some help." But like Shotzy's getting the help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the interesting thing for Optic, I think Optic is about as good as you could possibly ask them to be. They can beat 10 other teams in the league, and that's an absolutely amazing thing. They can beat 10 other teams in the league about as easy as you can possibly beat them. They're the first team to 3-0 FaZe on LAN, which is a huge accomplishment realistically because they're so good at every game mode. They slam NYSL the series before. They were looking absolutely amazing. They just cannot beat LAT when it matters most. They lose to them in winners finals. They lose to them in grand finals. And I would say, neither of those were particularly nail biters when it came down to the end of the series. Like I said before, I think LAT figured out something that the rest of the teams didn't figure out about how to shut down Shotzzy and Huke, or maybe they just have it in their blood. They just have that ice built into them, and Kenny's just too good at matching up against Optic Gaming. But I mean, when you can beat 10 other teams in the league and you just have to figure out how to beat one team, that's definitely a good problem to have. But if you keep matching up against this LAT team, it's going to be hard to shut them down in the later parts of this season, because we're at that point in the season where everybody knows how to play the game. Everybody knows exactly what they want to do on the map. Everybody's comfortable in their routes that they're taking, their power spots that they want to get to. It's all about the execution. And I mean, yesterday, LAT was executing so much better than Optic and at almost every corner.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Stats don't lie, man. Stats do not lie. I mean, you literally look at it right here, like the times that we had engagements, like on the side of Optic versus the side of LA Thieves. LA Thieves, they already knew what they wanted to do on this map. They had already faced Optic one time in the winners final on Hydroelectric, which once again we give LA Thieves that first pick, and they freaking pick Hydroelectric. On like I get Optic can get scrappy on that place, but LA Thieves they just know that place like the back of their hands, and this is such a hard map. Let's be 100% real quick. Look, this map was one map that we were in discussion of GAing, of getting off the board. LA Thieves go to this map and they make it their comfort pick. Like, that just speaks to a squad's resonance, a squad's synergy, and a squad's willingness to get ish done. And so, you go on there, you expect to get scrappy with them, and it's a really hard one. Then we go to Hotel, which I honestly favored Thieves in, and Optic come out big. Shotzzy pulling up, 11-5. Dan once again pulling up, 8-6, ready to slay out for the squad. Then we go to Himmelmat Expo. I expected Thieves to win here. And, of course, they showed us just how comfortable Octane and Kenny are on this map. Draza even pulling up with a 22, Envoy 20. Everybody was positive. It's insane. It's literally insane. Then we go to Fortress. This is where I expected, me personally, Optic to come back. I was like, all right, Optic are ready to come back. They do, 250 to 138, but that does not budge the mental on the side of LA, bro. That does not, because then next map we go to Asilo. I hate Asilo. Ever since Major 3, I've hated Optic on Asilo because it's just too many gaps to fill for Dan to do that. There's too many areas where if you want Dan to do the dirty work, there's too much for him to fill. Like, somebody needs to help him out here.
I mean, I think like if Optic wanted to win this series, I mean, Optic, I think we're so close to actually just be winning the grand finals, specifically because if they win one of those Asilos, they go to their Albagra Fortress Search, which is their statistically best map in the search and destroy pool. I'm pretty sure they're 8-4 on it, and they look good on Hotel, but I mean, according to the stats, Fortress is their best game mode, or their best search and destroy. So if they win one of those Asilos, they're probably able to take home the first place trophy, but Kenny was just shutting them down in that LCL control. The stats maybe don't show it as much, but I'm pretty sure he was like 28-15
30
after
and
round 4.
21, bro.
But he was like double positive in the middle of that map, and he was just winning all those rounds that they needed to win.
26 non-traded kills. Holy crap.
Yeah, he was having relentlessly.
Holy crap, dude.
And he was doing it the same way that Optic gets their kills. He's getting a kill and getting lost. It's he's just out there playing his life. They can't even find a
Just
trade
go
to
hide
trade
him.
on him.
Yeah, just go fucking hide in a
So
corner.
that's the best way to play sub in this game.
Especially in a CeeLo, you literally just hide top or bottom pole and just let someone pass you, just get a kill, keep doing it over and over again.
It's such an easy map because you can be so ratty on it. There's so much that has to be cleared, and as a sub, you can just get a kill and pick a different corner, pick a different spot. It's the easiest thing, and so it's like when people are good at executing that, it's so difficult to clear, especially when people want to be running more ARs on that map naturally because it's longer range gunfights.
Yeah,
I was
thank God I don't run an AR. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say this map actually does like lean toward Kenny as well, because obviously you can run those SMGs and get your bottom pools, your top pools, and start to really reap on those defensive rounds. But you can also, we see a lot of teams pulling out that third AR on that map nowadays, and that favors Kenny a lot. We know he used to run the AR a lot back in the day, and so when you can do either of those things, I mean, he's got to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, unfortunate 4-2, Optic go down. Second placing in a row. LA Thieves, back-to-back Major 4 champions. You got to give your flowers. As much as you want to hate Draza, as much as you want to hate this squad, you got to give flowers where flowers are due. That's just competitive integrity. It doesn't matter if you hate the squad, if you like the squad, you got to give props where props are due. They come out champs. Octane's your MVP. I mean, Octane has always been that player that, when he needs to turn up, he's going to turn up. And they've had him kind of on the back burner at the beginning of the season. He was like kind of doing okay. And then just lately, he's been hitting form, man. He has been hitting form. And that's where I think this really, the determining factor of success is on this squad, is the fact that Octane is now back in form. He is back into turret mode, and that's given the comfort that Kenny needs and Envoy to go and run around the map because they know they've got him watching over.
He's the best AR in the league right now.
You think Octane's the best AR in the league right now?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I agree.
I didn't see anyone stop him this whole weekend. He was piecing every single map, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm stopping him, but
Other than Lightningdajoke, everyone else is absolutely smoking him. And he's going up against Dashy. He's going to get he's going against Dashy, Ghosty, Slasher, Celium. Like those are the guys that he's going up against. And I mean, did they play subliners this weekend?
No, they did not.
No.
Okay. Someone was making Skies look like he was terrible. I don't know who it was. I thought it might have been Octane.
Skies was making himself look like he was terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, Octane just looked great the whole weekend. And they're playing great COD. I think
They
he's
are
the best
playing
player in the
amazing
league right now.
together. They're playing
Yeah.
fantastic together right now.
Even Draws. I mean, Draws is like he's the polarizing person. I like him. I like Draws a lot. But he was looking great. Everyone was looking great on the Thieves this weekend. They definitely
were.
deserved it.
Yeah, me personally, I got no beef with Draws. I like the way he plays. He talks that ish, and he'll back it up. He will back up that ish.
I mean, he won, so
Yeah, he won. It's just crazy. It really is. It's great to see LA Thieves once again hitting form towards the end of the year, because that means it's gonna be scary. It is gonna be scary once we get towards that champs time, because champs is close to 2 months away, approximately 2 months away, and you're hitting form this late in the game, you're going to replicate some success that you had last year as well. And, well, once again, massive congratulations to LAT. But some controversy before we end our talk about Major 4. This unfortunate screenshot coming out. LA Thieves' coach, Shane. Shout out Shane. Love Shane. He's a good guy. But being behind Optic while playing FaZe, I got a lot to say about this, but I want to hear what you guys got to say about this. What do you think, Mike?
I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I know this had to have come into play for grand finals. I mean, as the Thieves coach, obviously he's gonna watch the people he's gonna play against, and he's gonna be like, okay, this is what we gotta do. This is what their breakoffs are. This is what they like to do. This is their tendencies. I watched them play like 2 series back to back. I don't blame him in the slightest. I truly don't. I don't think it should be allowed, but at the same time, how do you stop that? Because it's not like he can still watch the matches. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I mean, being behind them in real time and seeing all 4 of their point of views is completely different than watching with the crowd and on a monitor seeing the mini map. I think it's completely different. But I have mixed feelings about it because also I've been to that venue before and there's no place to really sit, especially with how they look, how they made the venue look for the pros this time. I saw how it's set up. There's nowhere that he can really be unless he straight up leaves the venue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know how to feel about it personally. I think I don't want to say it's fine because it's not fine, but at the same time, there's nothing for him to really do, and he could still watch the match regardless of what he does. So I don't know.
I mean, I just think it was an oversight in my opinion. It's like you have this event and you don't really expect to be in the situation. You don't have any fans. It's not in a real venue. And, something like this ends up happening. You're fine with players sitting behind the other players in a normal situation, but then you see somebody maybe like Shane in this sort of situation. You're like, wait a second, maybe that is a problem. Like maybe this could be something that we shouldn't let happen, but it's on the last day. It's on the Sunday. It's before grand finals. You don't really have time to be like, oh, should this be allowed? Should we tell Shane, like, maybe you should get out of here? I just think it was something that the organizers probably didn't necessarily think about. I don't think the players really thought about it either. It was kind of awkward situation with the event. This ends up happening, and now we're talking about it afterward. I don't blame Shane for doing it, like Lightning said, but, definitely a problem, and I think in the future it would be solved, but who knows if we're going to be in a situation like this again. It's just an awkward time, awkward moment.
I personally don't feel like it had much impact on the outcome of finals or anything really for that matter. The only thing that you really get out of sitting behind a team is hearing their comms a little bit better, but you get listen-ins too at the same time. So, maybe if you're sitting behind them for search and destroy or something, you could get some value out of that. But I mean, coaches sit behind players at challengers events all the time. Like it's just a common thing. I think it's part of the game, honestly, and it's like if you don't want them behind you, you simply turn around and tell them to leave, or you have your own coach sitting there behind them, saying like, "You look, I don't want you guys here." But the difference is in the league is that they can already see everything. They get the mini map where they can see every single thing going on at all times,
Exactly.
the entire
Mhm.
map. So, really, what value? I feel like this is less valuable. Like, if you wanted more value, like on how to counter what Optic is doing, he should just be like watching the VOD. You know what I mean? Of the game live. He's gonna get more out of that than he is sitting behind them. He might hear like okay, let's do our round one, and then see what their round one is on like a fortress, it's like S&D or something. But I think even Shane said he's like the one map I sat behind them we vetoed anyway. So I don't know how much value it had to it. I don't think it's too much of a big deal, but if it bothers the team that he's watching, they should just have their coach or just someone behind them ask him to leave, and most people will listen to that.
No, I do agree that it probably didn't have much of an impact. I think, like Hondo said, the only time it would really make a big difference would be for a search and destroy game mode. But the search and destroy that Thieves won against Optic was not the search and destroy they played against FaZe. So realistically, it probably didn't matter that much. But I still think maybe in the future you maybe wouldn't want to let that happen. It's just a bad look. Like we're seeing tweets about this afterward, and when it's just Shane sitting behind Optic, when you know that Optic is probably going to play Thieves in the next round in the grand finals, it kind of leaves like a bad taste in your mouth, but
Yeah.
it probably realistically didn't have much of an impact on LAT winning the series.
That's mainly what I was gonna say. Is just that it leaves a bad taste. It really doesn't look good. Like on paper, it might not have that much effect. Like specifically what Shane said. Like we vetoed that map, sat behind them. Everyone forgetting we have Codcaster. Literally what Cxnwa said, perfectly quoting the tweet. But it just leaves a bad taste. It just does not look good. It's like if I'm It's like if I'm Optic, and it's say like I'm freaking JP, and LA Thieves are like in a huddle, and I'm like I'm like within earshot of that huddle. Like it on theory in paper doesn't really have too much effect. It just looks bad. It looks bad. It's like you're greasing the ball in baseball. You're like, it may not have too much effect, but it just looks bad. It looks bad. So that's mainly what I gotta say about it. Everybody else kind of harped on what I was gonna say with it, it not being too much, but still looking bad. Shane, I know Shane, he's not gonna do something scummy like that, but I get it. It does look bad. So, ending off with that unfortunate stain on a great event. Let's get into it because we are running a bit over. I know people got places to be. Let's go through it real quick. Our post Major 4 tier list. Let's already get the 2 right off the bat. Let's get Optic up there, and let's get LAT up there. Because of course, the top 2 finishers always deserve that S tier. They've put in the work, and I mean clearly in the way that they played, it makes sense. Now A, who are we thinking in A?
Before you do anything, you should throw London and blow it up. I don't even want to talk about them.
All right, let's all agree. Let's just agree. Blow it up, London.
I mean, yeah, that's a
They're
valid.
fucking donkey dick, dude.
I feel like the only team in A tier right now, well, I think there might be 2. I think FaZe might be the only team in A tier. You can definitely argue for Toronto being up there as well, but there is an argument for whether Toronto could be an A or B currently.
I think Toronto's
Yeah.
B. I think Toronto's B.
I think Toronto, Seattle, and I think Rocker are in B.
Where do you have subliners?
I think they blow.
I think subliners blow.
Dude, I think they
I mean,
straight
they
up
almost
get
beat
away.
FaZe.
They get away with things, bro. It's the same. It's just a talent thing. I don't think they play together as a team that well. I think they just straight up kill people to get out of like. I feel like when they play against good teams, they get exposed. I feel like.
They're in a better level than the rest of these teams that are left, though. Like
I think
in
NYSL is
my
better than
Better left,
Minnesota.
yeah.
I think NYSL is better than Minnesota too.
Oh yeah.
But
No, I don't think they're better than Minnesota personally.
I personally think that Ultra should be up in A. I think that their roster makeup is really good. I think their teamwork's really good. I think the management over there is really good. And I mean, they lost to FaZe, and they lost to FaZe in a 3-2 fashion. So
That is
I don't
true.
think
I
don't think
vouch. I vouch.
I don't necessarily, and they just won the last major.
I vouch.
So I think they're good at every game mode. I don't see a world where they're not A, in my opinion, honestly.
Okay. So, Optic, LA FaZe, Ultra. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm keeping subliners at C, man. I'm keeping them at C because of the fact that the ARs just ain't thangin'. Skies ain't been thangin'. Prize Picks has him at a neutrality of 20. 20 as an AR? That's a little scary, in my opinion.
But I think Subliners is better than the rest of the teams that are in there right now. So I wouldn't put them on the same level.
So
as
then
the rest.
let's actually add a D then. Let's add an actual D tier.
This is just me. This is what I think, though. Obviously.
I agree with Mike.
Yeah,
I
no
think they're
shadow of
better
a
than the
doubt.
rest of these teams.
These squads all belong in D.
I think you could throw Boston.
I think I
I
could
was gonna
throw
say
Boston.
maybe Boston. I can see Boston in there.
And here's the one thing for me though. This Surge roster is these middle 4, the B and C is the one thing that I'm a little bit unsure about because didn't Subliners beat Rocker 1 and I think that Rocker is
3-1.
more-
I think they beat them.
and I think that Rocker's got more talent on their team, but I don't think their roster makeup is that great. They kind of give me the similar vibe as London on a better level. I personally would
Probably switch
I also-
these then maybe.
no, I'm okay with having Rocker in B, but I also think Subliners should be in B. I think the team that should be moved is Surge, and it's not because they're not talented, because they're probably, in my opinion, they're probably the 3rd most talented team in the league, behind FaZe and Optic. It's just that they just have so many like not good things about their roster makeup.
Yeah.
Like accuracy has to be the bitch player, or it doesn't work. And then they have players like Sib, who is extremely talented, but also an extremely mental player. He either looks like the second coming, or he looks like he hasn't spawned in the last 2 months. And then they have players like Pred, who's always showing up every day. He's a beast he's gross. And then they have a polarizing player in Mac, and like I personally think Mac is one of the top 10 most talented submachine gun players in the league. But there's something about him on this team that just does not work, and I don't know what it is. Like I don't know if it's the roster makeup or just like the chemistry on the team. Because I know him and Sib are boys,
Yeah.
but like there's just something about him on this team that I just don't like. And I think if you threw him on another team, that he would thrive. I think if you threw him like this is Rogue, but I think it makes so much sense. I think if you threw him on phase for slasher, moved Simp to the flex, and you moved Celium to an AR, I think you would see that whole team would get better, and Mac included. I think he would be back to that all-star level that we saw back in MW 2019. Now, that's just I don't think that's necessarily where he should go. I don't think that that's the best pickup that FaZe could make, but I think like it's that idea that it's the environment that matters, and it's just with him on Surge, he does not look good.
I think the thing is, I think currently Mac is on a very short leash on this team. Like he is not allowed to do many things on the map, and we
I
kind of see
agree.
that in the gameplay. And when you look at the other SMGs in the league that are just frying, it's like you got Simpabeezy, Shotzi, Huke, Envoy, Kenny, and all those players. I feel like they can go and make plays that they want to make, and nobody would have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And back to the tier list real quick, I want to point out. So first major. Seattle have a really good major one. They play second, they lose to NYSL. That's a W. You know what I mean? Like you don't take home the W, but it's a good major, no doubt about it. Last
Yeah.
three placings for Seattle, 12th, 6th, 8th. I think this is definitely a C tier team.
I was literally just about to say that team does not utilize their talent. The talent is undervalued. Pred, God bless that man, but he can't do everything. He cannot do everything on the squad. Mac, I agree with the short leash phrasing because the man just feels limited in his gameplay. If I'm him, I'm making a 1-for-1 trade to either Rocker or Boston, and I'm cinching playoffs with them. I'm cinching. Granted, Seattle will make it to champs more than likely. I think they're like in this 75%, 100, like being there. Like there still could be some crazy tornado effect that gets them out. Optic and FaZe have already cinched it. They're in to champs 100% without a shadow of a doubt. The point disparity range is already gone for them. So like they're in a league of their own. They're literally in a league of their own in terms of points. Rocker right now are barely making it, but Vegas, if they have a great major 5, could easily upset that. So Surge, I think at this point, it sounds bad, but I think you just got to get rid of Mac. I think he got to rid of him.
I think that if you took, honestly, I think you could just call up Gwen for Mac. To be honest, I think Gwen is like, I think you need to let him off the leash.
Forgot he was on the roster. I actually
Yeah.
forgot he was on the roster.
Well, like Gwen's a dog. Like he's gonna slay out and get his kills. It's like if they just let him off the leash, then they have him, Pred, and Sib. That's another version of FaZe, in my opinion. Maybe not on the same level, but those are 3 extremely talented players, and then they got a bitch work player in Slasher or Accuracy. I think that works, and I think that Mac has a spot too that actually makes more sense for him. Not necessarily than FaZe. I think FaZe would be like perfect for him, but not perfect for FaZe. But like a team that would actually, I think, benefit really well out of him is Boston. Ever since Vivid left, they have not looked bad. They just haven't looked as good. But I don't really think it's for any reason other than Vivid just baits, like everyone baits Vivid because he just runs so fast. He's just laying down damage, getting everyone weak. They lost a lot of that pressure with Kremp, who still plays really fast and he gets his kills. Like I think he's a better player than Vivid. It's just that their roster dynamic is worse, and I think that the ARs look a little bit worse out of it too. Now, I think if you took Nero out, who's just not because he's bad, but just because he's inconsistent, and replaced him with Mac, I think the pressure on this team is better. I think the consistency is better. I think they have better teamwork, and I think everyone would look better because of it. Because Mac is willing to do the dirty work that if he needs to, but it would also let him be off the leash a little bit too. So it's like I think you throw Gwyn up on Surge, you move Mac to Boston. I think both teams get better.
Agreed. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, this is literally your last chance. This is the last possible moment to get yourself a better seeding for champs and also to even make champs. Like Rocker Camp better be sweating their butts off in practice, getting everything down to the molecular level. Because if Vegas take them and Standy pulls some sound EQ cheese in these qualifiers and manages to make it out of winners round 1, God damn it, you are out. It is not happening. Rocker, Bands needs to pick it up. Afro needs to stop playing such a solo level. You know, the Fame, he's doing his best, man. The squad, whenever things go bad, they scapegoat him. They put him on a pedestal. But I think it's just Bance and Afro. I think Bance, Afro, and Cammy need to just pick it up, man. These are star level players, you know, dragging each other down. You know, you're dragging each other down. It's going to make the team cam horrible. We don't know what's happening in there. We can't talk to Fame personally right now because these are the crucial moments. I mean, you could. I'm talking about like crucial moments. Like you can't hit up a squad and be like, yo, what's going on? You know, because teams are keeping things together unless they're like scraps and throwing it all out for the freaking internet to see. Then that's on them. You know, we don't know what's really going on with having that camp. But it's time to pick it up, get Cammy and Bands back in their form. I get it. You know, you didn't have a great facilitation into the squad probably. Rocker had a bunch of layoffs. Their team is kind of doing okay, but it's time to cinch it. You got to cinch it. You didn't make champs last year. You got to make it this year.
Don't they have Kevin running an AR too?
Yes.
Yes.
they have that.
Yeah.
I
Kev
think
does want to run it though. He said.
He
told
does?
me. He told me it's the God gun. He loves it. He even
It
said
is.
at
It
the
is good.
the optic major when he was still with God RX in them. I think.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
told me that he's running it and he still wants to run it.
I mean, he's good with it. I think that team gets even better though if they throw Bance on main AR, move Cammy to flex, and have Kevin be like the second sub. I think Kevin is so good at that second sub, and I think it'll allow him to pull out that third AR once in a while too. I just think Bance sucks with the sub, to be honest. Like he's good sometimes, like
He's
he sometimes looks
inconsistent.
elite.
He is way
but
too
he
inconsistent.
like 65% of the time he kind of looks like booty cheeks. So it's like if you just threw him on the AR, because the main reason he's on that team is because of the leadership that he adds. It's like you just throw him on the main AR, let him just be the walking UAV, and voice of reason on that team. And he used to run an AR back in the day, back on Splice. So it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that team gets way better. I think everyone gets better from that if they did that.
You know, I think Mac would also be a good addition to Rocker too. I think. Did you say
That's
that? Did you
true.
say it would be a good addition to Rocker
He'd be a good
too?
team. For
Mhm.
who though? For Bance?
I don't know about Bance because me personally, the way I think of it, Cammy and Bance have won a lot together and they know how to win. I think knowing how to win and winning before is a big thing that any team could have. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Afro has never won before. So in my mind, whenever I hear someone who has played for a while and hasn't won, not that I don't think they can't do it, but they haven't gotten there and they don't know how to yet, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Mac obviously has won before. And also I think he would be a really good addition dynamic wise to roles wise. It might not make that much sense. Kev would still probably have to be on an AR probably, or they could switch Mac to an AR and put Kev on the second sub maybe. But I don't know. I think Mac would be a pretty good addition to Rocker too. Back to what we were saying a long time ago. But yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why not be bad? I can see that.
But definitely I think Boston would be better. I agree with you for sure. I think Boston would be better.
So now we feeling okay with this tier list then?
I think it's good.
I think so.
I think so too. Cxnwa, anything to add to the end here?
I think this looks good. This is probably be where I make it. I might move Surge down to C, but I'm okay with them in B.
Okay. All right. Well, let's in closing, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say happy birthday. Happy birthday to the man, the Dan man, Mr. Ghosty.
Happy birthday to Daniel.
Happy birthday. They call him Daniel now. I don't know if he likes that. I got to ask him. But happy birthday to the man Dan Ghosty.
Yeah, he deserves everything he's getting right now. Happy for the guy.
Dude, I can't believe from challengers to Optic, brother. I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Bro, we had him on episode 3, dude. We had him on episode 3 of the Storm, and we were talking about projections, and then the man's up there, bro. Crazy. Crazy shit.
Awesome.
He's only 21.
Only 21. Only 21. Crazy. This is to all the people that think that if you don't make it at 18 or 19, man, there's still hope. You could still make it. Trust me. Polish your game, get yourself in the right positions, network properly. You'll get yourself there. Trust me. You'll get yourself there.
The thing that Dan does better than everyone else that I think everyone needs to keep in the back of their heads if they ever want a chance to make it is Dan's understanding of how to play team Call of Duty is at a higher level than anyone I've ever played with. I mean, he makes the game so much easier for his teammates no matter what he's doing on the map. It's like if you look at Dan's gun skill, like Dan's like not crazy cracked or anything. He shoots back, don't get me wrong. He's very talented. That's not what I'm saying. But like he's not like 360 no scoping people. You know what I mean? He's But what Dan does better is his understanding of the game, of just how to play Call of Duty, is at a higher level than I think 99.9% of players in the entire world. The couple times that I've played Dan this year, he is literally, I've never seen someone who's as prepared for every gunfight as Dan is. Like, I'm a sub that runs around with Deddy, and I get to run around like a Nimrod the whole time. I did not shoot him in the ass once in the 3 times I played him this year. He is prepared for everything, and it's just because he knows everything that's going on the map the entire time. And he didn't used to be like that. I used to play that guy back in MW 2019, and he was kind of ass. And he just put in the work. He put in the work to know how to play Call of Duty, and his mental's better, his teamwork is better, his communication's better. He's doing all the shit that all the Challengers players don't. So if you want to make it, you need to try and be like him.
Agreed. It's all about making yourself smarter, better, and the guy's a great content dude too. When we had him on the episode of the Storm, the guy was spitting. He was spitting.
He's a personality. He's a personality.
He knows exactly what to say and how to get the crowd going. He's very provocative and he's good. And he's also very humble, which is massive. I mean, we got to see a little bit more into his life. We got to see a little more into his life and his beginnings. And he might talk the talk when he wants to, but he's a good guy at heart. He's come from some crazy backgrounds to being here in the CDL, and especially on Optic of all teams. Like you look at Yuli, his first team now on his pro record, it's gonna be London. You look at Dan on his first pro team that he's gonna have, it's gonna be Optic. That's massive. That is crazy. And then the way that Optic market their players, like even if Optic decide to drop him after this season, he's got a very good head on his shoulders that he could pick any team he wants afterwards.
He'll be in the league for a long time.
Congrats, bro.
Well, yeah, he's well deserved. Absolutely.
He's proved himself.
Yep.
Very much so. So, ladies and gentlemen, is there anything that we want to say before we head out?
Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan. Happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah, happy birthday,
birthday,
Dan. And thanks for having me on. And Mike and Cxnwa, appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you as well. I agree. Great talks today. We had some great conversation points and had a great time.
And me too.
I know we hit the hour mark, Mike. This is very rare that we hit the hour mark, dude.
I'm so hungry.
I know. I'm
too.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go get some food too after this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, thank you so much for watching. This is going to be going up on YouTube most likely tomorrow at 3 Eastern. But make sure, like I always say at the end of every podcast, look at the people below me. These are the people that are going to be running esports within this decade. Make sure you get acquainted with them. Make sure you know who they are. Make sure you go follow them. Their links will be in the description below on Twitter and on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be seeing you all in the next episode of The Storm, most likely before Major 5. But without further ado, you guys have a great one. God bless, and wherever you are, stay up.